Come join us as we take you on a trip from the practice pen to the show arena and let you listen in as top trainers prepare their students to compete in the Western industry's most exciting equine sport. And you'll learn what it takes to become a top weekend cutter.
Brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers.
You know, insurance is a daily part of our lives. We insure ourselves, we insure our trucks, we insure our trailers. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers is where you go. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers has been an agent for Great American Insurance for over 35 years. Remember, no vet checks up to $100,000, whether it's a private treaty sale or a catalog sale. Call Connie or Stacy at this number and get yourself some peace of mind and insure your performance horse with Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV. Hey everybody, I'm Kenny Emai, your host of Cuttin Up. Welcome to the show. This is our very first 1-hour episode of Cuttin Up. We've been doing this for a long time. Never did a 1-hour episode. But on Farm and Ranch TV, you're going to see a lot more of that. This whole episode is brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Remember, go to www.rogerpeterslivestock.ins. Get yourself some peace of mind with a company that's been an agent for Great American Insurance for well over 35 years. Remember, no vet checks on your performance horse prospect up to $100,000 in value. Now we're going to start off a little bit different with this 1-hour episode. We've also never done a cooking episode. And I kind of want to show you one of my favorite dishes. And I came across this at South Point Casino in Las Vegas. In the Silverado Steakhouse, they had an item on the menu years ago called a flat iron steak. And they don't have it on the menu anymore, but you can ask the chef and he'll be happy to make it for you. I do it a little bit different. First of all, I take the beef that I raise. We ranch cattle here at our place, and this is actually a steer that was born on this place. I raised him, I custom fed him, and the finished product is what you see right here. I had the butcher in Hamilton, Texas, actually cut these for me 1.5 inches. Some of them came out almost 2 inches. But this is some beef that we raised right here on our place. And good Lord, he probably got up 1,500 pounds before we took him. But I had had him on nothing but corn and sweet feed and all the alfalfa he could eat for the last 6 months before we harvested him. And it's probably one of the best steers we've ever raised. We're going to use the beef from that. You see these ribeyes. They're huge. I've also got some ribs. What we're going to do is mix 2.5 cups of ground espresso and 2.5 cups of brown sugar. Just going to kind of put them all in here together. Promise you I've already washed my hands. Then once you've got your mix mixed up pretty good, then it's time to take a piece of meat. We've done nothing to this except thaw it out. Picked it up at the processor probably 2 weeks ago. Get it thoroughly coated all the way around the sides. I like working it into that meat. So pretty much everywhere there was raw meat, now it's got a covering on it. We'll get that one ready, get the next ribeye. Now, my son Morgan, he was the first one to try any of these ribeyes. He took one home, and him and his wife and my 3-year-old grandson ate on it for 2 days. They're huge, huge pieces of meat, but you couldn't ask for anything better when you've got when you get the opportunity to raise your own, you know what it's had in it and what it hasn't. That steer never had any antibiotics, never was sick. You know, he just got his normal vaccinations when he was younger and then just wormed the last year of his life pretty much. But we're going to take these ribs. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to do that same thing with these ribs and cook them the same way. Thoroughly get it all worked in there, and you can just smell that espresso mixed with that brown sugar. Once it cooks, that just kind of makes a little light glaze over that meat. And if you try it, trust me, you'll like it. And if you get a chance to go to Las Vegas and stay at the Gone family's wonderful place, go into Silverado Steakhouse and ask the chef to make you a flat iron steak. That's what they call it there, but I'm pretty sure it's about the same recipe. We're going to get it all stuffed in there real good so we can get a good glaze. Well, we've got those all covered the way we want. We're fixing to go put them on the pit. While we're getting ready to do that, let's go to Hamilton, Texas to the Circle T Arena. Dana Parker's West Central Texas Cutting Horse Association's putting on a great show. First time I ever went to one of her shows, she was putting them on at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas. Now let's go to Hamilton, Texas. We've got a big surprise for you. Russ Carroll is commentating all the action. Let's go to Hamilton.
This first cutter in the non-pro class here today in Hamilton is Marley Wood. This girl is definitely no stranger to cutting. She's the daughter of Kobe Wood, multiple world champion, winner of millions of dollars, and this girl does a real good job herself. She's riding a nice horse that Kobe actually won the Mercuria in Houston on year before this, last year. She's made a good cut on her first cut on a white cow right here. It's gotten off to a good start. Got real nice loose reins, controlling this cow real good. Good cow. Horse is being good. She'd like to get this cow broke down to the middle, like right there. That was perfect. Now she's got this cow broke down good. Really good job right there. Off to a good start. Cow was quick, but a good cow, and she broke it down really well. She's gonna try to make another good cut right here. Got her dad, Kobe, over in the corner, and Sean Flynn over in this other corner. She's kind of waiting this cut out right here, just kind of seeing what stays in a good spot. Another really good cut right in the middle of the pen, drops her hand good. This is a good cow, looks like also. Got this cow trapped in a really good spot. Controlling the cow really good. Really got this horse turned loose. Quits that cow good. She's having a really good run right here so far. Real controlled run. She just needs to get a cow right here, cut clean and finish, and she'll be in good shape. Another excellent cut, right in the middle of the pen, all three cuts. Can't do it a whole lot better than that. That was a good run. They'll have to come try to beat her now. Our second rider here in the non-pro, April Widman. Her and this horse here are our actual reigning NCHA non-pro world champions from this last year. I'm sure they're off to another good start this year. They're a tough pair to beat. They've been really consistent. April's gonna try to just do the same thing right here that Marley's done. She needs to make good cuts. She needs to control her cattle. That cut was fine. Everything's looking pretty good right here. Another good cow. Cows are being good so far. Showing lots of control. Never was out of position on that cow. Quit it clean. She's off to a good start also. Steps in there and Sean's kind of helping her roll these cows around, letting her have a good look at what's in front of her. She's gonna cut this black cow that's in the very back. It's shaped up good. Another really good cut. She's got her hand down there, right in the middle of the pen. Horse has got this cow trapped. Horse is even better on this cow. He's kind of settling in and holding the ground a little better on this cow. A little out of position right there. Kind of missed the stop on that right side. Not too bad. That time was a lot better. That cow was just kind of a mediocre cow. Not bad, but didn't really get a hold of her horse like she probably wanted. But she got by it okay. And she's gonna cut with a little more time right here on her last cow because I think she feels that after that second cow, she probably needs to make up a little ground. She got this cow cut good with about 20 seconds. This cow's trying her a little harder, which is good for her horse. Her horse is really getting a lot serious now, having to try harder, holding the ground good. This cow's presenting much more of a challenge than that second cow. Horse handled it really well, so she finished good. The judge is gonna have to kind of make a decision here of what to do. She's either probably gonna be a point below Marley or a point above, just depending on what he thought about that run in comparison to Marley's. But two good clean runs to start the class with for sure. Butch kind of chipped the cow off the top right here to start his run. Horse is a little playful on this cow, a little cow fresh. Kind of like to see him maybe go stop a little straighter and wait on those ends a little more, but he's working the cow head to head and no misses, no major penalties there, so he's started a clean run at least right here. He didn't take much time cutting that first cow, so he's probably going to come in here on this second cut and work his clock a little bit. That way he's not left with too much time on his third cow. Makes a good cut. These cattle are really being good, letting people cut them really, really nice. Made a good cut in the middle of the pen. Off to kind of, little off-centered right there, off to one side of the pen. A little bit of a miss there. He's pretty out of position there, and that horse kind of rolled up that turn over there, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. We've kind of worked this cow's been kind of worked out of position the whole time. We're kind of off to one side of the pen. He gets quit clean. He's got some ground to make up after that cow. He had I'd say at least a couple out of positions and kind of a miss. And eye peel kind of hurt him there when that horse missed that stop, but he's going to try to finish his run up the best he can right here. Just kind of making a shape cut on these blacks right up on top. Gets cut clean right in the middle of the pen. He's had no major penalties here. This horse is better on this last cow. Maybe just been a little fresh on the first two. But we're still a clean run, other than the out of positions and maybe a little eye peel could have hurt him there a little bit when the horse missed a couple of stops, but a clean run. This next rider here is Miss Lindy Ashlock. She's the wife of trainer Wes Ashlock. Lindy's a very tough non-pro competitor, both weekend competition and aged event competition. She had a really successful year last year on this horse in the aged events. She also was a top 15 non-pro qualifier for the world last year on a good one-time Pepto mare. But she's probably here today, more than likely wanting to get this horse prepared and ready for the Super Stakes coming up. She'll be showing him up there in the 5- and 6-year-old non-pro. She's made a really good first cut right here. Horse has got a really cool style on a cow, really low-headed, creeps around on a cow, hits his stops good. Lindy's an excellent rider, excellent showman. This is not a great cow, but Lindy's doing a good job of staying in control of this cow. The way her horse is stopping and waiting is allowing her to do that. She's getting by this cow the best she can, and still able to look good doing it. She'd like to cut a better second cow though that can kind of let her show her horse a little better. Another really slick cut right up the middle right there. Got her hand down. Horse is being really correct, waiting on that cow. Cow kind of takes off on her right there, but she gets over there and gets stopped. This cow's really speeding up now. Presenting a challenge. Horse is being really smart, handling this cow the best he can, but just not a great cow. She gets quick, clean, in the middle. So far, like, this horse is being really good. Lindy's showing really good. She just hasn't cut the greatest cow so far, but she's gotten by him the best she can for sure. Another slick cut. Rolled that cow around, got her hand down. You just really need one of these cows to stop and get kind of set up in the middle. There, that's a lot better right there. Really good right there. Another tough cow though. This horse is doing all he can though to stay correct and in the right spot. So, you know, if I had to guess, I'd say somewhere around a 72, 73 on that run there. Horse was good, has a neat style, just not the best cows, but she got by him the best she could. This next rider will be Cody Headland, also no stranger to cutting. His father is a great trainer from California, Rock Headland. Cody also has had a lot of success in the non-pro aged events. He's the owner and showed the great Metellus Cat. And I believe this is a full brother to Metellus Cat. I believe this is a 4-year-old. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure Cody's here doing the same thing with this horse, just trying to get prepared for the Super Stakes. Getting his horse out, get him shown, making sure he's where he wants him to be going into the Super Stakes next week. Not that he still doesn't want to try to win a check today if at all possible, but I think his main concern is his horse and how his horse feels, and wants to make sure he doesn't need to make any changes on him, preparing him to get ready to go to Fort Worth. Cody makes a good cut, no surprise there. This cow looks like a better cow. This cow's really taking hold of his horse, turning into his horse every time. Horse is being good and correct. Really good cow right here. Horse is stopping good, shows a lot of expression on that cow, keeps his ears forward. Good cow, good quit, all that looked really good. This is a tough class competition-wise for a 4-year-old, but this is a really nice 4-year-old, and Cody's a great showman, so if he can have a clean run, he's by all means got a good chance of winning the check today. Trying to get another cow cut clean in the middle if possible. I think he sees what he wants to cut right here. He's just having to kind of wait it out and let it get in a good spot. He's got this kind of brown steer cut. Good, having to hold on this cut a little bit. That other cow didn't clear out of the way, and he didn't get to put his hand down quite when he wanted to. He had to hold on an extra second there. I don't know how bad that'll hurt him, but it wasn't as clean as he had liked it to have been. Good cow though. Cow got a hold of this horse good. Horse is still being good and correct. Quick, clean. He's going to try to finish up here with about 15 seconds if he can. Just try to chip one off the top. Jamie's over there helping him get one pushed out. He gets that done, gets his hand down with about 7 seconds. Really like the way this horse keeps his ears forward. Has a nice expression on the cow. Finished really good right there, real pretty. He's got to be happy with his horse. I think that second cut on that second cow could have just been a little smoother and cleaner. That's about all that he could have changed right there. Horse looks good and ready though to go to Fort Worth next week.
This is kind of a little funny story, a little sideline, but I showed Hollywood Rita. I was showing Hollywood Rita in Southern California, in Imperial, California. And a new Texas trainer, you know, which was a big deal in California, a new Texas trainer had gone to work for Wayne Hodges in Wasco, California. Well, he happened to have this great horse down at this cutting named Calbar. And this trainer's name was Larry Reeder. And he had come from Matlock's in Texas and had was going to open up, had a training stable up there in Wasco. So he showed, and I showed against him in the open, and I was just in complete awe that Larry Reeder from Texas was here at our Southern California cutting. So he went in there on Calbar, great old Dock Bar stud, and he did well, marked at 74 or something. And I went in there on Rita, and I'm just even scared to death to introduce myself. I know it's hard to believe, but I was shy then. And so I wouldn't even introduce myself. I was scared to death of him. And so I showed Rita, and I marked 75. I beat him. I won the Open. So I was, you know, I'm watching Larry the rest of the day, and finally he comes up to me, because I'm too shy. And he says, hey, he said, what is your name? And I told him my name. And he said, you know what? He said, gosh, he said, you really ride well. And I said, well, thank you. And he said, you have a nice horse. And I said, well, thank you, Mr. Reeder. And he said, you know, I've never seen or met anybody that wanted this cutting more than I have, more than I do until today. He said, I believe you want to be good at this. You want to excel at this even more than I do. He said, so if that's true, you need to come up to Wasco and I'll help you. And like, you know, nobody even talked to me before then, you know, hardly. So I said, oh, absolutely. I said, I can be there Monday.
I'll be there Monday morning.
He goes, well, okay. So I showed up, and anyway, goes back to my first futurity. That was in '77, actually. And he didn't let me ride a futurity colt that year. He'd had a bunch of the guys already lined up to ride his futurity colts, and he had a big string of them. But the next year, he called me first, and he said, you want to ride a futurity mare for me? And I said, oh, absolutely. So that was a mare by the name of Miss Lena Barrett. And a really nice little Docalina mare that Billy Cogdell owned. So he let me ride her and come down for the whole Sweetwater experience, which was fabulous back then. Buster was there, and Greg and Gary and, you know, Mike, and we were all a lot younger then, but we were all there. And it was just a great experience. So I got to go through the Sweetwater deal and showed at the futurity, and I missed the finals by half a point. So, but I was thrilled that I was with Larry Reeder's camp and got to show at the futurity.
Imagine.
And I would walk into Will Rogers and just in awe, I'd look around at the arena and before the cutting started, like the day before, and I'd go sit in the stands in the box seats, and I thought, oh, you know, it was just like going into a shrine for me. For all these years, I had dreamt, and nothing I ever wanted more was to show at Will Rogers. So that was '78, and then '79, I came back on my own horse that I trained, a mare called Diamond Mystery, and I split reserve with Leon Harrell at the Futurity, which was a real big deal there, and they made it a big deal, and it was a big deal to me.
Well, the stakes came out great, and I hope you really enjoyed that A Moment With segment. It's always cool listening to some of our old heroes and legends of our sport telling us some great old stories. Now, let's have a word from our sponsors. The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work, and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV.
We started feeding Bluebonnet feeds about 15 years ago. So it was a local mill. We got to know some of the people there and tried it out. It looks the same every time we get it. That's one of the things that keeps us feeding Bluebonnet. This has given our older horses the added nutrients to keep them looking their best in their older years. And additionally, through the tougher months of the wintertime, we feel like it really does help them.
You know, insurance is a daily part of our lives. We insure ourselves, we insure our trucks, we insure our trailers. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers is where you go. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers has been an agent for Great American Insurance for over 35 years. Remember, no vet checks up to $100,000, whether it's a private treaty sale or a catalog sale. Call Connie or Stacy at this number and get yourself some peace of mind and insure your performance horse with Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Perfection starts with the perfect forage. Perfectly grown, perfectly processed. No waste, no GMOs, no additives, all natural. The perfect forage for your horse is Select Way Premium Alfalfa Cubes. Just perfect. Contact us directly at midwayforage.com. Hey, welcome back. Now let's have a Horse Health Today segment with Bluebonnet Feeds equine nutritionist, Ms. Jimmy Nichols.
Welcome to Horse Health Today. People often ask me, what are the different types of horse feeds out there? The way that I want to break this down is talk about the forms of feed. There are really 4 different forms of feed that are available. You have sweet feed or textured feeds, you have pelleted feeds, you have cubes, and then you have extruded feeds. Now, the differences in those. Your textured feeds are most commonly sweet feeds, so those are loose grain ingredients such as corn, oats, barley, beet pulp, and then to make it sweet, they are coated with molasses. Now, there are some textured feeds out there that are considered dry blends. They actually do not have molasses on them, and instead they maybe have either no coating or they could have a vegetable oil coating, just to help reduce some of that sugar that's on top of the feed, and also to help reduce some of the fly population in the stall barns, especially in the summer. We all know how much flies love to congregate around the feed pans for sweet feed. So the next option would be a pelleted feed. Pelleted feeds, the Bluebonnet pelleted feeds are a 5/32 inch pellet, so a very small pellet. And basically what happens is all of the feed ingredients are ground up into a really fine mash. And then steam is added and they are pushed through a die and compressed into a small pellet. Now, pelleted feeds are very beneficial because they are much easier for a horse to digest compared to the sweet feeds, mainly because those particle sizes have already been ground up so small. The other benefit to pelleted feeds is just the consistency of the ingredients within them. There is no sorting or sifting, especially if you happen to have a bulk bin and you put a dry blend in there. You know, the oats might float to the top, the corn might float to the bottom. If you're in a pelleted feed product, you don't have to worry about that sifting. Now, the third option is a cube. And cubes are typically 3/4 inch to 1 inch in size. And made the exact same way that a pellet is made. They're just made in a larger size. Cubes are really helpful for broodmare bands or horses that are out on pasture. And if you need to feed on the ground, they're larger in size, so it's really easy for those horses to come through and pick those cubes up. Now, the fourth option is an extruded feed. And the extrusion process is basically a very high heat, high pressure process that, think of it as popping or exploding the starch bonds. And just very similarly to the pelleting process, it also makes that feed very easy to digest. Think of it as almost starting the digestive process or that breakdown before it even gets into the horse's mouth. So extruded feeds are going to be quickly absorbed and very easy to digest. Thank you for joining us on Horse Health Today.
Well, thank you to Bluebonnet Feeds and Miss Jimmy Nichols for that Horse Health Today segment. Now, let's head back to Hamilton. Russ Carroll's calling the action at the West Central Texas Cutting Horse Association's non-pro class.
Our next rider here is Miss Ashley Flynn, the wife of trainer Sean Flynn, a great hand, has won lots of money in the aged events, more of an aged event cutter. Also, I think they're probably over here today just getting their horses prepared for Fort Worth. This is a really nice horse that Ashley shows. I'm not positive if this is her 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, but it's a horse that she'll take to Fort Worth and show at the Super Stakes for sure. I believe it's a 4-year-old. But she's kind of doing the same thing that Cody and Lindy were doing, just over here getting prepared, seeing where her horse is at, getting a feel for him in the show pen. She's got a good cow picked out, looks like. Oh, that's not quite how she wanted to get that cow cut. She's going to go ahead and just pick up right here and school her horse just a little bit. I think she kind of thought she had that cow cut in the middle, and then that cow kind of took a move on her, and she didn't get it cut clean like she wanted to. So instead of taking the chance of putting her horse down in a bad spot, since she is here to get ready for Fort Worth, she picked up on her horse there and made sure he got back in the right position, and just kind of secured him so that nothing funny happened that may have caused him to lose his confidence or get rattled. So she's going to come back and try to cut another cow right here, and she may kind of put him down on this cow and let him work a little bit. Got this cow cut really good in the middle. It looks like a good cow. Horse is being really good, really neat moving horse, low-headed. Keeps his hocks bent really nice. Soft cow, but she's at least getting to let her horse work right here and getting to feel him a little bit. Not going to win anything today, but still getting some good work done in preparation to go to the Super Stakes. She's getting to feel her horse, and so not a total loss by any means. Another good, quiet, clean cut right in the middle. Horse goes right to work when she drops her hand. She's being really correct, really smart on this cow. You can see this horse really reading this cow. Really intent on that cow, staying nice and low-headed. Kind of not a great cow, but at least she's not doing anything to rattle this horse or make him lose his confidence. So she at least got that done today and got to feel her horse a little bit. This next lady here that's fixing this show, Miss Marianne Rapp. One of our most competitive non-pro riders and has been for some time now. This lady does a really, really good job. Of course, she's married to Phil Rapp, our NCHA's all-time winningest rider. So these two here are definitely a threat anytime they show up to a cutting. Marianne may be doing a little hauling this year in the non-pro. I haven't been keeping up with it real close, but I've noticed they've been out showing quite a bit, so she may be trying to qualify for the top 15 this year in the non-pro. This is a little horse that she's had success with in the aged events and on the weekend cuttings as well. She's gonna cut a fresh red cow right here. Gets cut pretty good right there. I think she would have liked to maybe got drove up just a tick further before she got her hand down, but she did get her hand down clean, and this cow is setting up in the middle of the pen. Horse is working head to head, riding her horse when she needs to get across that cow, asking her horse to control that cow. She's gonna start looking for a place to get off right here. This cow's kind of giving her all it's gonna give her. She's got to keep pushing up to this cow right here until there she goes right there. The cow turned away. She got quick clean. That cow kind of started pushing on her right there, and she did a good job of staying in position until she got a place to quit. Phil's got her another cow picked out over there. I'm sure it's fresh also. She's working it into a good spot to cut clean. Another red cow. Really good job of getting that cow cut in a good spot. Got her hand down good. Really loose bridle reins. Cow's tough. Horse is being really good. Trying a little bit of a miss right there. Got back in position. Cow's really trying her. Another little bit of a miss. She's really getting pushed back now. I believe she might have hot quit right there. She was really needing a place to get off, and that cow just never gave it to her. It's kind of an example of a cow just almost being too tough. Horse was doing all it could, she was doing all she could, but the cow just didn't give her a chance to quit cleanly. She's going to drive another one up here in the middle of the pen, put her hand down. Really nice horse. Working this cow spot on. This is a cow we'd like to have for a second cow. It's a little better cow right there, but you know what? She had a deep draw. She went and cut the cows that she knew were fresh. She cut them good. And it just so happened that that second cow she cut just wasn't as good a cow as she needed it to be. It was just presented almost too much of a challenge. So, a little tough luck today for Marianne, but you can bet she'll be back. This is Dr. Dave Sheen. He's a veterinarian from out in the San Angelo area. Been cutting for a long time as a non-pro. See Dave and his wife Stephanie at a lot of these weekend competitions in Hamilton and Sweetwater. Really nice people. They really enjoy just getting out and showing on the weekends. But Dave is competitive. He's going to go down there and do his best to get a check today. He's got a deep draw to work with. So he's got his work cut out for him. We've got some good scores. Cattle are getting a little tougher now, so he's going to have to be really slick right here and see what he can get pulled off. This is a really good horse. This horse has won a lot of money on the weekends. Actually, Todd B. Matt and this horse were top 15 open qualifiers a few years ago. Todd showed this horse out on the West Coast and won a lot of money on him. I think Dave recently purchased him maybe last year. So he's in there right now trying to find a cow that would possibly give him a chance to get his horse shown and have a chance at winning a check today. So did a good job of shaping his herd up right there. Try to get up here and get this cow stopped. Holding on a little long right there. We need to get our hand down a little quicker. Horse is being real smart right there. It's a pretty tough cow. Horse is being really smart. This is a really tricky cow to work right up underneath him like that. He got by it the best he could. He got a place to get off. He got off clean quit. Put this little red cow up. But that cow was sure tricky. He got up underneath his horse, and it's hard to read when they do that. Of course, that horse being seasoned, older horse like he is, he handled it like a pro. But another little fresh red headlight right here. Dave's holding on to his horse a little long on these cuts. He needs to get his hand down quicker. That's gonna probably hurt him. Another quick cow presenting a really good challenge. Horse is really working it good. This cow was really close to his horse again though, like that first cow, but even maybe a little quicker. The horse again handled it really well. Only thing's hurting Dave so far right here is just on his cuts. He needs to get his hand down quicker. He's holding on a little too long. Right there, hand down. There we go, that was a lot better. Another fresh cow. Try to keep this cow in the middle for him. Horses head to head, being smart. Almost overrode a little bit right there. Okay. All right, well, we at least got through our run clean. Tough cattle. Horse did a good job. Maybe a couple of times we might have held on too long on those first two cuts. This rider here is this man's name is Jared Callahan. He's from the East Coast, but recently purchased a place in Weatherford. So he's been spending more time in Texas, I believe. I don't know Jared really well. I've met him a couple times. Seems like a really nice guy, and really taking a big swing at this cutting deal. He's got some nice horses out there and shows a lot. I think his kids show. He's made a good cut right here. I believe we worked this cow earlier, but he made a good cut on it, and no major problems here. Horse is staying pretty correct. Working this cow kind of in the middle of the pen. I'd like for this cow to try that horse a little more. That cow was kind of turning away from him and actually looking at his turnback men more than it was him. So, you know, no takeaways there, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of credit just because of the cow not presenting enough of a challenge really. So he's come in to make his second cut right here. He's trying to shape these cattle up, let them roll to his right. He's going to make his move right here on this black cow to get it up and get it cut. This black white belly. I believe this cow's fresh too. Gets cut, gets his hand down. Nice horse. Horse is hitting it, stops really good. A lot tougher cow right here, but a good cow trying his horse. This horse handled that well, I thought. That cow presented much more of a challenge, and the horse handled it really well. Didn't have a lot of working time on that cow, but I don't know that he could have stayed any longer, because that cow would have probably got the best of him had he tried to stay much longer. So he was probably pretty smart right there and getting off when he did. But because of that, he needs to come on and cut this third cow with a little time, which he does. This cow's a rerun cow that was cut earlier. That was a plenty tough cow the first time. So he's got his work cut out for him right here on this cow, but so far he's getting by it. Horse is being really good now, really hitting it stops good. Got those ears up, reading that cow. Cow was plenty tough again, but he got by her pretty good. So I don't know where that run's gonna fit in the mix really. So our last rider in the non-pro class is Elizabeth Quirk. Her and her husband Todd are top competitors in our major age event cuttings. Also showing the weekend some also. Elizabeth has been showing for a long time, was a really competitive cutter when she was in the youth. I believe she was a past youth world champion actually. So she's no stranger to this sport by any means, and has had a lot of success in the aged events and weekend cuttings, and just a really good cutter. Her husband Todd is a good cutter also. They own some really nice horses, and when they show up to try to get the money for sure. She's got the toughest draw that you can have. She's dead last on some steers that are kind of about half wore out already, but she's still going to go in there and give it a shot. She's probably going to just cut what walks up here and walks away from her. Good cut. She got pushed up really good. Got up away from that herd, which is the last few riders just haven't done. She got pushed up and gave herself some room to control this cow. This is a tough cow, but she's controlling it, mainly because she had that extra room. Now the cow's just getting really tough, but see, she got off and she's still in the hunt right here. But that's mainly because she did such a good job cutting that cow. She drove it up and got herself plenty of room away from that herd. So even though that cow presented a really tough challenge, she had room to let her horse handle it. So if I'm judging, I'd really have to pay her for that. I bet she tries to do the same thing on this cut right here. She's waiting these cattle out. This cow almost got away from her a little bit. Had a little bit of a reining point on that cut. Really neat horse though, big, strong, moving horse. Horse is being really smart. This cow's quick, fast. That horse handles it good. A little bit of a rough cut though to start with. That cow kind of took a run on her before she could get her hand down, and she had to take a reining point there to make sure she got that cow cut without it getting back on her. So we're working with probably a rough cut on the second cut. Cuts this cow good, gets her hand down really quick on this cow. Another tough cow though. Comes at her pretty hard, gets close to her horse. The horse is reading it good. She's reading her cow really close. Horse is being really good and correct, stopping hard. She stays in control of this cow really good. So she finished really good right there. She did a good job for that really tough draw that she had. That's gonna do it for our non-pro class.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Scott Hume. Scott, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about, you're from Idaho. You just kind of moved down to Texas, but you've been playing this cutting game for about 9 years now. What kind of got you into it?
I've just grew up ranching and always liked a cow horse.
Right.
And I worked for Brandon Butters, and he got me into the rein cow horse business. And there was a few old boys from there around Bear Lake County where I'd grown up, Terry Hymas and Don Clark and some of them old boys. And Ed Bowles, he kind of mentioned to me, you really need to just cut. You need to try cutting. And so Terry kind of come over every once in a while, and he'd help me. And I'm sure he pulled his hair out and walked away and wondered what I was doing. But I just kind of got into it and had a really good little Pepto horse, marked 4s and 5s in the herd on him at all the cow horse shows.
Right.
Took him down to the first cutting I ever went to in Salina, Utah. Rode to the herd, put my hand down. When I got out of there, I made a phone call and put him in the first horse sale I could find. It was that bad. And Bill Parker had a daughter, Mr. Dual Pep, and he called me about 2-3 weeks later, and he says, Scott, I've got a horse that I need you to buy. He says, you're going to ride her and show her, and you're going to like her, and she's going to teach you a lot. We still have that mare.
Really?
And we bought her, and she was a great horse.
Cowie.
Just a dirty, rotten, tough,
I've got
gritty.
a Mr. Dual Pet mare, and she just pins her ears for 2.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. This and this will practice on the way out of the trailer. She'll pin her ears on the way to the pen and whatnot. But she taught me a lot. And then I kind of took a break from it for a little while. Showed that Mr. Dual Pet mare, I showed her 17 times in 2010, and I won 15 checks.
Can't beat that.
No. And then the first horse I want to check on in the cutting was a old mare named Crybaby Peppy that Steve James in Wyoming had trained. And he had only shown her once as a 3-year-old at the Wyoming fraternity, and then she got hurt and she went to be a brood mare. And I bought her out of the billing sale for $1,000. And I took her home, and I saddled her up there in the barn because she had $183 worth of money earning, so she had won more than me. So it was a good way to learn, right? And I saddled her up there in the barn, and I had a brand new rawhide saddle on her, and she took off bucking out the barn and tore the horn off on the door jamb on the way out.
Dadgum.
And when I told Steve I'd got that mare, the first thing he asked me is, he said, did she buck when you saddled her? And I said, yeah. And he hadn't been on her for himself, for a dozen years. But that mare, when I went and pointed her to cow, she hadn't cut a cow for 10 years. And I mean, she crawled around
I'll be darned.
like a good horse. And Steve can tie a horse to a cow, as good as anybody. But
Right.
so I just got into it, and then I'd go to 1 or 2 cuttings a year for the next couple of years and did the cow horse deal. And then in 2014, I bought another horse out of Billings, an old Santulli Freckles gelding that Matt Budge had trained named Dr. Tooley. And I just bought him for kind of a ranch horse, and we took him home and found out that he would cut. And so I hauled him a bunch that year, and I made the world finals on him and brought him down here to Fort Worth. And
Awesome.
I paid $1,900 for him and won a truckload of fun stuff on him. And
You know, that's the thing about people that hear about cutting. They think that it's going to cost a fortune. You bought that Santulli for $1,900
$1,900.
and had a ton of fun.
then when I bought that horse, they told us that he was not sound.
Right.
And, for a lot of use and abuse, he isn't. But he was such a good horse, and I don't know what you guys know about Matt Budge, but he trains a great horse.
Matt Budge is a hand.
And this son of a gun was one of them that you'd work him on the flag once a week before the show. You'd let your kids trot him through the pasture. And he was just one of them ones that the harder you kicked him, the harder he'd stop. And I hauled him everywhere, and he didn't take a lot of, we took really good care of him. We still have him. I showed him at the Western Nationals the next year, and I think I won 5th or 6th there, and I brought him home, and I gave him to my little boy. And my wife showed him a little bit and won some buckles and had some fun on him. And that horse, he'll never go anywhere, but he doesn't owe us a thing,
Well, now, so that's about a year after I met you. We met at Billings the year I sold Smart and Slick. Well, at what point did you start thinking about writing a book?
Well, some years back, I've always liked to write things. I used to sit down and I wrote a few poems and stuff, and I would sit down and just write things that I would feel or think about. Not necessarily stories, just kind of write my thoughts down. And then I got a Facebook account, my wife and I did, and I started writing stuff on Facebook. Anything from my own personal political views to how I felt about a good cow horse, or to, what this lifestyle has served me, my relationship with God.
Right.
I don't know a rancher that doesn't believe in God.
I don't know one either.
And I would just write those things. And then Linda Williamson sent me a message one day, and she said, "Scotty, you need to get an iPad and just write." She said, "Pack it everywhere you go with you and just write." And I said, "Well, thanks, And then Toby and Linda's been real good friends, and Toby's helped me a lot with the cutting deal and whatnot. And then I read a book called 4 Counties by Waylon Long.
Good friend of ours.
I just really loved that book, and my wife read it, my kids read it, and my one boy that's 13 now, I think he's read that book 9 times. He's got a really, really nice bay horse named Rifleman that everybody in the United States has tried to buy, an old Tom Tucker gelding. And I was standing outside Ireland Bank one day on the 11th of January, which was the day that Linda Williamson's father-in-law died, the same date anyways, and Waylon calls me, and the first words out of his mouth, he says, "Scott, when are you going to write a book?" I says, "I can't write a book, Waylon." And he says, "Sure you can." And so I left, and I had a really nice old Chevy up there in Idaho I used to drive, and I sold it when I moved to Texas, but it was a 1976 Chev, totally redone. It was 2-tone green and just a beautiful truck. And I got in that old truck, put her in drive, and I was coasting down the road back to the ranch, and all of a sudden this story hit me about the typist, and just kind of a modern day Western mystery. It's about a lot of cattle being stolen in the Intermountain West where I am from. And this one man, this main character, Will Hunter, who's
of your book. Now,
yes.
And it's called,
it's called Branded.
It's called Branded.
And just thin little paperback books, about 180 pages. And I just went home and started writing it. And since we're cowboys and we're ranchers and we don't have no money, my wife and I built a fire out in the backyard, and we went out there and we stuck my brand in it, and we took a picture of it with just a simple camera, and then I put the X off the B in that branded word because the BX was my great-grandpa Elgin Bridges' brand. And so I think he registered that brand in about 1920. And so I just wrote this story, and I cracked it out in 3 weeks. And
wow.
And in wintertime in Idaho, January.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, so you're in the house by 5 o'clock every night, and then I'd drink coffee and Coke and sit there, and both of my fingers just rattled away. You know,
Now, how does somebody get a hold of Brandon? Can they buy it online?
yeah, you can go to Amazon and download it.
You can go to Amazon and download
or
it.
you can, like we do have a website, scotthume.net. My wife kind of handles that, but as far as, you know, me personally selling the book or divvying it out, I think I sold about 1,000 copies of it, which isn't a big number. But for me, it's a big number because
Well,
I was
sure.
thinking I'm going to have to give it away at the drugstore so that people can build fires next winter. And people would just come and say, hey, I want your book. And then I'm sure it's had a lot of downloads too. I couldn't tell you the exact number, but a lot of people have downloaded it.
Now, you know, I do something like this in an Audible version because I'm always driving, and I love finding stuff like this to download on Audible. I wonder how hard it'd be for you to get something like this out there on Audible.
Oh, it wouldn't be that hard. You just have to find somebody that didn't ride horses for a living to read it.
Well, I know. Well, all right. So tell me again, if they want to get a hold of it, they can go to scotthume.net.
scotthume.net, or you can just go to Amazon, you know, into your downloaded book version and type in the word Branded or Scott Hume or whatever.
Okay.
And download it, and it just tells this guy's story. He's the one man. There is a character in this book named Wilford Ketchum. And Wilford Ketchum is actually named after a guy that I worked for and was very influential in my life, and he's probably the most successful rancher I know, and his name's Dan Keach. I just had to change the story a little bit and change the name, but it does
Protect the innocent.
Yeah, and it does tell Danny's story. It's a very inspirational story. You know, America being a place of great chance, you know.
Sure.
All men are self-made, but only the successful take credit for it.
Exactly.
And it tells Dan's story about how he's become a very large rancher who owns thousands and thousands of acres and hundreds of cattle, and he's done it all by the sweat of his brow. He's married to a wonderful woman, he's raised a fine family, and he was very influential in my life, and so I kind of kicked him in the book, and I named him Wilford Ketchum. And
Well, that ought to be interesting to read. So that's how you get a hold of Brandon. Scott, thank you for coming into the studio here in Cleburne, Texas. I know it was a little drive for you.
yes, sir, about 2 hours.
Well, thank you. That's Scott Hume, Branded. That's how you get a hold of it, scotthume.net, or go to Amazon and search books, search Branded or Scott Hume, and get yourself a copy of it.
Yes, sir.
It's about the Western lifestyle, our way of life.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, Kenny.
Hello, my name's Tracy Barton. I'm from Northridge Ranch in Pierce, South Dakota, and today I'm talking to you about bits. One of my favorite bits is what I call a correction bit. It's called a TTB correction. It's made by Ray Mayhew out of Patterson, New York. Ray has been a customer of mine as well as a sponsor of mine for the past 20-25 years, has supplied me with all my bits. And this is a special bit. It's not a real thin bit, it's a 5/8 bit. And the reason why I like this bit so much, if you get a bit or a correction bit with a real small diameter mouthpiece in it, a lot of times it's going to cut into that horse, or it's going to make that horse root on that bridle a little bit or scare them. If you have a bit with a bigger diameter, a lot of times a horse will lunge into that bit and you lose that bite and you have to do a lot more tugging. So this is kind of the middle of the road bit, and it has a lot of feel to it. The reason why I say a lot of feel, you can take a correction on a really small diameter and you'll pull and nothing will happen, and all of a sudden you have a tremendous amount of bite. In this particular bit, with the Mayhew bit, the way we've got the shank swept back a little bit, you can pull it a little bit, you get a little bite. You pull a little more, you have a little more bite, or you can really pull a lot and then you can get your stop. This bit, it takes a lot to scare a horse in this type of bit, with this diameter bit, with this shank. I've had some corrections that I've used in the past before I met Ray Mayhew, where the diameter was really small and I would scare the horse, or a diameter was really big and I was tugging all the time and I lost a lot of feel in my horse. This particular bit accomplishes all that. You have a lot of feel on your horse, you don't scare your horse, and yet if you really need to stop a horse or it gets out of control, you're able to do that without scaring the horse at all. We have put inlay, if you can see the back of this, we have inlaid copper into the shank to help the horse salivate throughout the working process so that the horse's mouth doesn't become dry. I really like that concept. It really keeps the horse's mouth. We have a lot more feel in that horse's mouth by doing that. And the longevity of this bit, using it on a horse, far increases that of a bit that you can use for 1 or 2 days and then you've got to swap off. This particular bit I've been using probably for 25 years. I probably won over $2 million using this particular bit, and I'm very comfortable with this. It's a good transition bit from, let's say, a snaffle and a C bit, and you want to go to maybe a stiff bit or a clapper bit sometimes. This correction bit is a good intermediate bit in between there. We also have a bit that's built just like this, but it does have a square port that we use on the babies or the 3-year-olds when we transition from a snaffle to a C bit. Before we come to this bit, if we want to use this bit, we use that square port. So there's a lot of different applications with this particular concept of a correction bit. I also like the reins to be 5/8 reins. I don't like a real thick rein because it seems to me it's real heavy in my hand and I have to work harder to pull. My hands are kind of big, and a 1/2 inch rein is tougher for me because I feel like I'm having to grab trying to find the rein. So the 5/8 rein for me works really well. I like a chin strap, you know, a metal or leather. It really doesn't matter on this particular bit because once you get it properly adjusted where you can put 2 fingers between the chin and the chin strap, you're going to have enough bite with this particular bit. The shanks, if you've noticed the shanks, they're not super long and they're not super short. They're just mid-range. Everything's mid-range on this bridle, and I like that because it's going to fit a higher percentage of horses versus a particular bit that's going to fit 1 or 2 type horses. And in my business where we're riding 20 or 30 horses a day, I want to have a bit that's going to fit the majority of horses. Other than that, it's just a really good bit. And the thing I like about Ray Mayhew's bits is that if you do tear one up, and unfortunately trainers at times do tear up bits, he fixes them exactly the same way as if they were brand new. So the bit you're getting back is the same bit as when you purchased it. That's Talking a Bit. My name's Tracy Barton from Northridge Ranch in Pierre, South Dakota. Thanks for watching Cuttin' Up.
The Talking a Bit segment is designed to let you know what trainers consider to be their favorite bit and what their uses are. Be sure and talk with your trainer to see what bit works best for you and your horse. Hey everybody, Kenny Emine, Business Development Manager for Farm and Ranch TV. Now available, Roku, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android TV, our website, farmandranch.tv. On all your tablets and smartphones, Apple, Android, doesn't matter. You'll be able to see us any way you want. Farm and Ranch TV, the future of rural programming. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Cuttin' Up, our very first 1-hour episode. Got to bring you some great action from the West Central Texas Cutting Horse Association's non-pro class with our good friend Russ Carroll calling all the action. Want to say a big thank you to Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Remember, no vet checks up to $100,000 in value. You get to work with a company that's been an agent for Great American Insurance for over 35 years. Go to RogerPetersLivestockINS.com or call up the office. Connie or Stacy will be happy to take care of you and get you some peace of mind on your performance horse. Again, big thank you to Dana Parker with West Central Texas Cutting Horse Associations. She's been putting on great shows for a lot of years. Told you earlier, the very first one I went to was at Stephenville, Texas at Tarleton State University's old arena. That was back when I started kind of cutting. So Dana does a great job. Go out there to Hamilton and check out one of her cuttings first chance you get. I want to say a big thank you to you for joining us for our very first 1-hour episode of Cuttin' Up. So join us again in the next episode. We'll be right here cutting up.
Cutting horse dance, to the left, to the right, cutting horse dance. Bounce, bounce, the cutting horse dance. Left, right, let's dance. Let's dance. Dance, dance, cutting horse dance. To the left, to the right, cutting horse dance. Bounce, bounce, the cutting horse dance. Left, right, let's do it again.
Be sure and go to Cuttin Up TV's Facebook page and like us.